So,
Yeah.
you mentioned the reigning national champions. We're just going to dive into that in a second, but I do want to let you guys know if you are interested in a 600,000 word, 814-page season preview, you can go and purchase your digital copy of the Almanac at the link in the description below. It is $19.99 and it is worth every penny. We spoke to every single one of the 363 Division I college basketball coaches. There are 1,300 words on every one of those 363 Division I basketball teams. All right, guys, to me, the single biggest storyline in all of the Big 12 and maybe in all of college basketball is this, RC. Kansas is going to try to repeat as champions while they still have 5 level 1 violations and maybe a Bill Self suspension and maybe a postseason ban, something looming down the road here. I love this idea and this narrative that it's the Kansas Jayhawks who did everything wrong in the eyes of the NCAA that's out here winning national titles. Go ahead, RC.
I, I, we were there when the most awkward moment of the whole championship was when they had to hand Bill Self that trophy after winning that, expecting those sanctions to come out. I got no faith that anything's going to happen to that. I don't even know why we're even discussing it. I'm next because I don't see anything happening. I'd be shocked.
Well, I thought the best part of it was when he casually called them the Kansas City Jayhawks as he's handing over the national championship trophy to the Kansas Jayhawks. So first of all, put some respect on their name. Second of all, this team has a lot of pieces that have left. Ochai Agbaji was huge in the national title game. He was huge entire tournament. Christian Brown, everybody's favorite screamer, to the crowd. And there's been some interesting stories about some of their trips whenever they were going and I guess the correct word is barnstorming, going around Kansas and talking to different people. Some interesting things happen on those trips, but it's you big wings win. And whenever they've had experience for a few years together and they can really shoot the ball and they just kind of carried that team. There was talent elsewhere, obviously, but big wings win. That being said, Jalen Wilson, you look at him to potentially take a step in the right direction. He could be more efficient. He's going to be more of a focal point. This Kansas team, after the Kansas City debacle, they're going to be really good again. Now, are they going to win this league? We'll see. And as this episode goes on, we'll kind of argue as to why they won't. But still, a lot of talent on this team. 3 McDonald's All-Americans to replace some of that talent that's departed. Kansas is still Kansas.
So it's interesting, RC, in a year where it feels like everybody has a great big man in college basketball, every legit team has a great big man. It is the Kansas Jayhawks, who we have come to know as being that group that always has that monster 5, always has that guy that we can get Bill Self scheming up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 duckins a game, 6, 7 layups a game from guys like Derek McCormick. They don't have that this year. Are you worried about that?
For the 2 game? They've been running 2 games since Danny Manning was there. They're running a high-low action, man. They always run that. But no, I mean, Bill has adapted over the years, and he spreads you out and run ball screens and spreads you out and kick and drive, depending on the talent that he has around him. So I don't worry about that. I think they're going to have to spread the floor a little bit more this year. You know, you had Big Dave to throw it inside when things broke down last year, but you had all the perimeter help. And T.O., you spoke earlier on the other guys. Don't forget they had Remy Martin coming off the bench that was supposed to be a starter. That was preseason like player of the year. And then you got him coming off the bench. They had 3 guys that you had to guard on the perimeter that were high-level shooters that you had to guard at almost a 40% clip. They don't have that right now. I think Grady Dick coming in as a freshman is by far their best shooter. MJ Rice will come in and he can knock down shots. Outside of that, it's hit or miss. It depends on the game, and I think that's indicative of what we'll get into with this conference. It's going to be whoever makes shots; the nights are going to win. I mean, that's just the way it's turning out right now, the way it looks from the outside.
Yeah, and we've alluded to it in the past, guys. Like Kansas and Bill Self, there's nobody more creative at getting deep post touches than Bill Self. Like he does a fantastic job of that. Now this season, he's got a different kind of 5-man setup. Like Zach Clements is a good player. Is he your traditional big bulky 5 that he's had in the past? No. He's not. He's more of a step outside and shoot it. Now, is Bill going to be able to adapt? I have zero doubt that he's going to be able to do that. I'm curious, though, how long Clements at the 5 is going to last when you have Ernest Ude, who is more of that traditional 5. He is a freshman. He is young, but he's got those big, broad shoulders. He's got a lot of those intangibles that Bill Self likes. about his game. I'm curious at that 5 position. That's a big question mark for me because Zach Clemence, the way he plays, stretch it out, facilitate some offense on the perimeter, is Bill going to want to play that way because he likes getting those 4 to 6 foot hook shots, bank shots, things of that nature. He's not that guy. Ernest Udeh can be that guy, but he's still a freshman.
So I think that what we're going to end up seeing, at least early on, are a lot of lineups where they are going almost 5 out. Some of that's going to be with KJ Adams playing the 5, who's just a phenomenal athlete that can do all the switchable things that will, I think the quote that Bill Self gave me in the Almanac was that he's not afraid to fight you. And I think he meant like in the post and battle for position, but I think he also kind of means like that dude might actually fight you. And you kind of need that as a small ball 5. I think we're going to see lineups where Jalen Wilson is at the 5, right? Which can get really interesting with someone like a Grady Dick out there, with someone like a Kevin McCullough who's super switchable, with MJ Rice with a 2-guard look even. So I think we're going to see a much smaller kind of downsized lineup from Kansas City, which leads me into the question. We'll go to Jalen Wilson here in a minute, but T.O., I'm going to go to you first on this one. How important is Jalen Wilson to be the guy that takes that next step? We've seen it all the time with these Kansas teams and these Bill Self teams. Year 3, year 4, you get guys like Ochai Agbaji becoming lottery picks and Christian Brown becoming first-round picks. And you look over the years, their best teams are when their top 50/top 75 guys end up being NBA players by the time they become 21 years old.
Well, he's certainly capable. And a big portion of that, too, is he didn't shoot the 3 ball very well. I think it was right in the mid to low 20s. And his shot's not broken. He has to take a step in the right direction in order for Kansas to be as good as what they're capable of. And him being the singular focus out on the perimeter from a scoring perspective is huge. My biggest concern is he going to be able to create all those things on his own? And where does rim pressure come from? Because Kansas has done it a multitude of ways throughout the past years. DeJuan Harris did it a little bit, but he also had that lob threat with McCormick. He had some of these big, bulky 5 men that could create post touches, could get into the lane. There's a lot of different ways to do post touches. And when you go 5 out, like you alluded to, Rob, like who's going to put pressure on the rim in order to create a closeout situation for Jalen Wilson? Because that's when he functions best, is whenever he's attacking a closeout. Is he going to be able to take a step and create his own offense, create his own shot? I think he's capable. Is it something that he's going to do consistently? That's a big question. And when he can't do it, because in the Big 12, defenses reign supreme. We all 3 of us know that. It's a matter of who can make tough shots, who can create their own shots, and if you need help on certain nights to at least get a closeout situation to where you can then attack and score. That's a big thing for Jalen Wilson. But he's going to have to shoot the ball better to create those situations for himself too. So it's kind of twofold.
Yeah, he shot 26% from 3 last year. That is not something that we ever would have seen Randolph Childress do. All right, let's get into that interview now with Jalen Wilson. Our own T.O. went full Jeremy Schaap with the one-on-one sit down.